Most of us think about sunscreen as something simple. You grab it, you apply it, and trust that it's protecting you. But the reality is much more complicated. The products we put on our skin can affect our health, our oceans, our coral reefs, marine life, and the larger environment around us. Welcome back to the Practice Pulse, where we explore how innovative health, wellness, beauty, and longevity businesses are growing, what they're building, and how they're creating meaningful impact in a rapidly changing market. Today, I'm joined by Sarah Miller, CEO and founder of EthoSun, a clean beauty and sun care company redefining what it really means to be sun responsibly. EthoSun combines medical grade mineral formulations, non-nano zinc, luxury skincare, and environmental responsibility to create products designed to protect the skin while also protecting the planet. The company has been recognized as the 2025 Best in Beauty Award winner for Best Mineral-Based Sunscreen, and Sarah's story is deeply personal. It's rooted in health, advocacy, science, and a commitment to building a brand with real accountability. Sarah, welcome to the Practice Pulse, and thank you so much for being here with us.
I'm glad to be. I'm glad we were finally able to connect. It's such a good subject right
Yeah,
now.
it really is. So I'd love to start with your story. Like, tell us a little bit about EthoSun, how it was created, not just as another beauty brand, but what really kind of led you to question the products that we've been told are designed to protect us.
Yeah, this is such, I was just on social and on chat rooms having the same discussion. And it's just interesting to me, Nancy, how many people are not aware of what they're actually putting on their skin. I mean, like, the timing is good because I'm leaving tonight actually to head down to the islands. So we're packing up all of our Ethos Sun products to hit the resorts down there. But yeah, I started EthoSun a year and a half ago, but the concept came a few years prior to that. How I started EthoSun, I didn't create this in a boardroom. There was no glitz and glam or fanfare of, hey, it's a big market, it's a beauty industry, let's make money. I created EthoSun because I went through a few different brain surgeries and remove a brain tumor. And between the brain surgeries and radiation, I was always tied to LA, to my neurosurgeon, to the hospitals over like 5, 6 years. And then COVID hit. Then when the pandemic ended, we had a client, because I have the CEO of a PR firm. And so we had a client and they were using Bitcoin of all things. And they were down in Peru doing circular economy, teaching people how to, a skill set, how to thrive and survive. And one of the things I personally noticed was healthcare. You're teaching them, how to make money to buy shoes for their kids, food, a roof over their head. But these people are suffering because they don't have health care. They're not recognized by the government. So I was thinking about, hey, you know what? Why don't we work on the healthcare side with the client? So I moved to Scottsdale, got out of LA, and I was literally, how this started was kind of funny, not funny. I was at my parents' house for dinner, bitching to my mom about healthcare. Like, okay, well, I'm in AZ now, and my family's here. I'm like, okay, Valley of the Sun. I went to high school here, grew up here, and I'm like, well, wait a second. How come, healthcare is so expensive, but I can only have it if I can afford it? And then, I was like, kind of like, well, you got to be in LA again, because I've been there for 17, 18 years with my career. You got to go back every year for MRIs. But then if something happens to you in Arizona, you're out of pocket. Well, if you have Arizona insurance, you've got a $15,000 Cedar Sinai bill for an MRI every year. So I'm like, well, so I had really, really, really good health insurance, covered me anywhere I went in the US, and it was expensive. And I was complaining, human healthcare should be a human right. It shouldn't be just because you can afford it and everything. So I created World Health Initiatives on that premise to bring clean drinking water, medical care to indigenous tribes around the world. We were down in Peru a dozen times, building medical clinics, bringing them healthcare, clean water. And then I had an idea. So then we hooked up with a reef restoration partner in Fiji, protecting the reefs because the reefs are dying because of chemicals and sunscreen. And I'm thinking, well, wait a second. We need to be down there for healthcare for the islanders, and some of the tribal leaders needed help. But like, it's expensive, in a nonprofit. You got to raise money for a nonprofit. And we were doing so much work in Peru. And I'm like, well, hey, why don't we create a little sunscreen that's reef safe, and we could sell it to, raise money for the cause. And it was an idea, just a little spark. We're like, oh, that's a good idea. And then I was down in Roatan, which is, we used to represent a lot of resorts down there. And I started realizing my idea wasn't just a spark, it was an idea. I'm seeing the reefs being destroyed. I'm thinking, well, I'm not going to jeopardize skin and beauty for the planet and our oceans, but I'm not going to jeopardize the ocean, our planet's obviously, and its future for skin and beauty. And I was seeing these two women got off a cruise ship. They was just with their little spray sunscreen, sun bum or whatever, just everywhere. And then they walked in the water with their gear and just this trail of oil slick. And what you have on your body does seep down into the oceans. And then conversations came up about snorkeling and diving. And Roaton's the second largest reef in the world. And they're like, it's a part of the reefs are dying. I'm like, well, this isn't good. But then I'm thinking, well, why should we sacrifice what we put on our skin? So I ended up talking and I just ended up creating EthoSun. I wanted skin first, planet always, full transparency. We're not going to compromise our skin. I started seeing the chemicals and stuff, and that most sunscreen chemicals are carcinogenic and toxic. So I was coming off, wait, healthcare should be a human right. It doesn't end at just what's in your body, your skin and what's going on. And one thing led to the other. One of my friends and our chief medical director always jokes around. I was left unsupervised. I was down on the island. I started talking to people. I mean, next thing we knew, we just started creating EthoSun, but I wanted a clean beauty product that doesn't compromise your skin or the oceans and our planet, starting, after what I was seeing going on both sides. Skin cancer rates were rising. I know we all know people, our parents, friends who've had skin cancer and cut out, and it does get deadly over time. And so, what was contributing to it all, obviously, is the chemicals we put on our skin. And so, I kind of my journey wasn't just glitz, glamour, fashion events we produce, runways. It was literally down on an island dealing with, hey, healthcare should be a human right. And where does this start and end? And it kind of brought me full circle to create EthoSun.
That's a wonderful and inspiring story. And what stands out to me is it's not just a product conversation. It's about trust. It's about, people assume that if something's on the shelf, it's been fully vetted for their health and for the environment. But
Yeah.
that's just not always the full story. So I'm glad that you're shining a light on that and then providing an alternative for people who are passionate about having those higher standards. So for someone who's discovering EthoSun for the first time, how would you explain what makes your products different from conventional sunscreens?
Yeah. So we use non-nano zinc. And what people need to understand, I love that you brought up the whole thing of we all trust these brands. And it's a whole other conversation we probably don't even have time for because I see so much out there. People saying we're reef safe, we're good for your skin, all the false bullshit on social media. So I'm on pissing people off, saying, no, 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 no. They have chemicals. No, no, no. I'm kind of on a side note, Instagram, somebody's community standards complain. And I got an email from Instagram. Hey, we're removing your post. You did like 25 of them. It goes against community standards. You were complained. And do you want to do a rebuttal? I go, yeah, I do. And here's why. Here's exactly who I am. Here is the reefs safe. Here's what they're saying. Here's their chemical, what's in it, what it does. Here's all that's medical. Here's what's going on. I get a letter a week and a half ago from Instagram. We are so sorry you didn't break any community standards. In fact, we thank you for shining light on a topic that we're seeing in ads that is questionable. We restated all of your comments and other accounts and we're not removing it. So I kind of took the small win on that.
That's
And what people
awesome.
don't understand is they say zinc. Well, zinc is a toxic chemical. It's got to be non-nano zinc, the non-nano particles, non-nano titanium dioxide, no white cast. Our products are tremendous. And since I moved back to Scottsdale, we have prickly pear, uber hydrating. We have really good stuff in our ingredients. I'm not jeopardizing our products for transparency. I mean, our products are 100% no toxic chemicals. There's no toxic trade-off. We have great ingredients. We're very transparent. We are medical grade. We have 99% active ingredients, which means if you look at the active and the inactive, they to say, hey, we have active zinc or they have whatever they have. Most of it has fillers. We don't have fillers in ours. Ours are all botanicals, all good for your skin. We are non-comedogenic. We are medical grade. It goes on so smooth. And sunscreen with the chemicals, if you put it on and with the sun, it bakes into your skin. If you get a blood test, and we just recently found studies on this with our chief medical director, if you do a blood test, you have toxic chemicals that show up in traces for up to 30 days because, the sun bakes it into your skin and your system, blood system, where with daily mineral sunscreen in general, outside of EthoSun, it's a layer on top. So our products, the moisturizing, the hydration, goes down into your skin and then it protects all the UVs on top of your skin. So we're all about skin first, planet always. I mean, our products, the fact that they're non-comedogenic, if you have rosacea, eczema, all these skin things, because your skin breaks out, you're in the sun. There's more chemicals in ours. We're more cautious on what we put in our skin. Our products don't irritate your skin. We have products that are there to heal, hydrate, moisturize your skin. So when you have sunscreen on, your skin's protected. And you also know if you go into the water, the reefs are protective. The world's protected. It's planet friendly. It's waterproof. And I think our product stands out. And it's not just about the award. It's not just about the branding. It's about our products are chemical free, but they have 40, 50 SPF. So your skin is protected. There's a lot of benefits we're hearing that aren't by design. People down in the island saying, hey, it's super humid. And people in New Orleans, we put it on. We're not using a base, a primer, because our makeup stays on. It doesn't sweat through. Our skin is staying hydrated. And that wasn't by design. We wanted a skin protection product, but because we took extra steps to ensure there's no toxic chemicals, that it is hydrating and protective, I think that's a big play. If you look at other, and there are a handful of reef-safe companies, but they're very thick and they're very chalky and gooey on your hand. We get a lot of guys we're down the island say, Sarah, it's sticking to my arm here. I can't help you for that. You're a guy, you're not, it happens. But they're like, you have to like wash it off. And, and the people who made the reef safe, and I could name off the companies who've done it. One, there's a lot of scammy companies. They stole their formulas, but they were made because they're divers and good for them. They were looking at the environment and the reefs that are dying out there, but they weren't looking at what it does for your skin because they were just looking at oceans and reefs. In the Bahamas, $33 million of travel and tourism is gone. Travel, cruise ships pulled out, hotels, 13,000 people unemployed because the reefs died. And there's no travel and tourism there. So, I mean, it is a cycle. So people who are making this are from Australia. They're from areas where they're all making it for nonprofits, protect their reefs. They're not considering that sticky, gooey, drying out your skin. And we know people who are using it. We've tested it. I've been a guinea pig. I've put Kapari, super good. I put everything all over my body, and I had this second-degree red hot spot on my stomach. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. I was like readjusting in the sun. I'm realizing there's chemicals. They're heating up from the sun and they were heating up, burning my skin. So I decided
Wow.
I'm not going to be a guinea pig anymore. I'm going to stick with the science. But, our product isn't thick, white, gooey. We're not, cheap. That just, you have to really rub in. You have a white cast, it gets chunky, but it's okay if I go into the ocean and I'm diving because I know anything that comes off isn't going to damage their reefs. But then I got to pay the price for my skin, which is why
Yeah.
we took the time at EthoSun to make sure our SPF was also skin friendly as well as planet friendly. And all of our products are curated. Glow Butter, Shimmer Glow Butter, has prickly pear, no toxic chemicals. We're the only ones in the market that have zinc-based bars with zinc that are amazing. Our bath salt is zinc-based, magnesium Epsom salt. I mean, we make every conscientious effort to ensure our products are skin first, planet always.
That's great, and I love that you dove in some to how your products are actually work and how they work and what makes them different from the traditional zinc that we're used to, those mineral sunscreens. And a lot of people do still associate mineral sunscreens with being that thick, chalky, hard to wear, also hard to not wear because you can't get it off. So how is it that you're working to shift that perception? Like what are you doing maybe marketing wise or on your end to really help people understand that this is a different skincare experience than they're
Yeah,
used
it's a
to?
lot of education I'm finding out. As I say, I have a PR firm. We've launched a lot of beauty products. We've done a lot of work in that space, but being a founder of my own product, it's a whole different like learning experience. We look at everything out there. I mean, we learn by, reading and knowing the education, but we're educating people like crazy right now, especially on social when people reply back to our comments. And sometimes I do it for my personal Instagram, not from EthoSun. And one of the posts, I'm like, I'm not pushing our products. This is nothing to do with EthoSun. I'm telling you, flip the label over, read what's in that label, know what you're talking about, ask for transparency. I demanded transparency and I got blocked by some of the accounts I was calling out. And I find that
Mhm.
interesting. Why would you block me? Answer the question. And so I ended up doing these long replies, educating people, not on EthoSun, but on the products right now. I mean, Supergoop and um, Sunbum got booted off Disney. They were lying. California Supreme Court just sued them. Supergoop just paid $375,000. Sunbum paid $350,000. They were demanded legally to remove all reef-safe and all marketing from their packaging, but people still carry it. And if you look at some of these packaging, I tell people, look at the inactive ingredients. Even if it says zinc, it's got to be non-nano zinc. Zinc. So people are
Mhm.
just saying, we'll just use zinc. Because remember, back in the days, we all had white noses swimming and lifeguarding because that was a thing, but that's still a chemical. It's not non-nano. And so they're starting to bury the toxic chemicals in inactive ingredients. And so if you go on FDA, they just care about OTC, over the counter, what your formulas for non-nano zinc is. Otherwise, you're not listed. So a lot of these companies aren't listed. You see companies, hey, $300, have your own beauty brand, use our packaging, use our formulas and call it your own, make tons of money. They're like vultures preying on the narrative of what's going on. Australia it has the fourth article in BBC. They're trying to ban sunscreen in general from the entire country. Yeah, that's not
Wow.
sustainable. Well, because
Yeah.
there's such a link to carcinogenics in sunscreen, and there's not a lot of companies out there, and so it's just we're looking at the education. We're constantly educating. We just launched in October. We won the 2025 Beauty Awards for Best Daily Mineral. We've had the magazine covers, but we're still fairly new, but we're available online. But for us, it's about the transparency. For the new kids on the block, like I'm standing in fire, fighting for transparency, fighting for education, fighting for ask the questions, demand transparency. If they don't answer you back, look at their labels. If you're still not sure, question if they can't answer you, they're hiding because we're now seeing them hiding toxic. Sunbum cracks me up. They now decided since their lawsuit, since they lost, it says we do not have oxybenzone oxynitrate in our sunscreen. That is awesome. Now they're trying to say the Hawaii 101 or 104 law. Well, that was Hawaii putting this in the map 10 years ago or 8 years ago. And I was like applaud them for putting this out there, but they've changed their laws since then. There's 9 or 10, I think 11 toxic chemicals. So if you say we don't have oxynitrite and oxybenzone, I'm like, well, is that the only two words you could spell? Because there's 9 others, and in their active ingredients, avobenzone, homosolate, and all the other super toxic ones that are just as or worse. So I mean, they're cutting corners. And so I just feel like as a CEO, I'm constantly spending more time educating about it. And I'm telling people, turn that label over. Look at the actives, inactives. If it's nothing is listed that you need to be aware of, if there's no branding, look at the website, the story behind the story. I want to know who you are, why you created your product, and where it's at. If you don't even have that publicly anywhere and you keep that hidden, what are you hiding? 9 out of 10 times because you have toxic chemicals, you know it. No, you're just not going to make that shift because it's too expensive. You're going to
Right.
capitalize on a market that's already terrified, and they're just going to buy your bullshit branding and pretty photos on Instagram ads. So we're all about transparency. And if you go to EthoSuns, we have a page that says science. And I apologize because why I went down the rabbit hole. It's like 3 or 4 pages long. Every active ingredient, every toxic chemical, what it does to you, what it does to the environment, the damage. Like, I literally went down the rabbit hole and put so much science on toxic chemicals and why these are not in our products and what it does and what to look for. Because why would we not? Why should we not educate? If we're out saying we're clean beauty, no toxic trade offs, we need to back it. And I just find it interesting that I've not found a website or a beauty company who publicly has that transparency but ours. So I figure, you know what? We're not going to hide. We'll fight it. We'll stand, we'll educate because nobody else will because they're hiding toxic chemicals. So I'm super proud we have the transparency that we can stand behind because we were built EthoSun rooted in science. And we stand our ground on that.
Transparency is paramount, and you really do have to have that science-backed factor. If you're gonna show, the proof is in the pudding, like, we're gonna show you exactly what we have here. And
Yeah.
I think that's so important when you're determining, because everybody wants to talk about clean products, but when you really look at them, are they really clean? So the fact
Yeah.
that you're willing to stand there and say, "Let's show you exactly what clean is and how we
Yeah.
are."
I got blocked by a company called Burnt. And the guy was funny because the guy's like, "Well, we have a doctor. We're clean. You learn this and this. Who are you? Who you don't even have the knowledge to even be commenting. And we're a startup. And why would you make those comments about us? You don't know what you're talking about. You don't even know your research." The guy has no idea who I am. He's talking about. And we have a
Yeah,
doctor, so you should not even be on here because you don't know what you're talking about and everything. So I fought back, and I'm like, "You are putting ads out that says the ocean loves you. This loves you. Your active and inactive ingredients, it says zinc. Where's the non-nano zinc? And why do you have avobenzone, homosalates, and the other ones that I can't even pronounce? I'm not a chemistry major.
yeah,
20 civil wars in yours." And so then he was fighting back, and I'm like, okay, my last public thing. Let me tell you who I am. I'm like, let me just like, you want to play chess? Like, let's go. I go, I'm the CEO
right.
of a PR firm. We represent the Bay Islands Travel and Tourism in Roatan, second largest reef. We're their agency. We're banning the sunscreen, running point on that. I'm also the CEO and founder of EthoSun. Let me tell you who EthoSun is. And I have a head of science, head of medical. And you want to be an asshole about this. You say you have a doctor. Where'd he get his degree? Like in the middle of the desert as a third grader? Because any doctor would know what chemicals are. Basic science, medical. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I know the chemicals. I know enough. I mean, I know what's going in our products. And I'm like, you say you have a doctor who backed this. What's he backing? Is he a buddy, your brother? You just paid off
Mhm.
because an investor? Because as a doctor, you shouldn't be saying we're reef safe, we're good for your skin, we have no toxic chemicals when your inactive ingredients, the first four right there listed. I'm happy to have an offline conversation. Here is my email. Go on DM. I am happy to have these conversations, collabs to educate you. I'm not attacking you. I have the credentials. Let me tell you who I am and why. Could you just accuse me of not knowing what I'm talking about? And as soon as I explained who I was and all this stuff to him, they didn't say, hey, you know what? We could use the help. It's a big world. There's not a lot of companies.
Mhm.
I know a few of our competitors and we collab and talk all day long because we don't do children's. California Baby does. I love Miles McCovey, their CEO, and we support them down the island and vice versa. This guy was so, I don't know, maybe some young kid who was a surfer, doesn't have any business acumen. But instead of like
Mhm.
taking that and saying, hey, I just called you out publicly and you know I'm right, he blocked me from looking at their Instagram account. And I'm like, you only do that if you're hiding and running from something. You don't, because we have had some nasty
Yeah,
trolls on our Instagram account, but they're not calling us out because they can't. If you look at our labels, look
right.
at they're legit, but they're just kind of being trolls. We had an AI video. Ew, yuck, that's AI. What the hell's wrong with you? Why would you use AI? Dude, the world is a big AI bot right now. But if that's
Yeah,
all you got, I'll take it because they cannot knock us on anything else. So I just kind of like laugh and they just ping us on AI shit and just, oh, that was AI, it's not legit. Well, okay, I'll take that because you can't even accuse us of anything else, you know.
yeah.
So I'm happy to
Just
leave you on.
yeah, just because you do an AI ad doesn't mean that your sunscreen is AI.
I'm like,
So
yeah.
silly. But that does bring up another question I had, which is like, give us like how you want people, like the consumers, to understand the difference between when something says reef safe and then a product that actually is designed with the entire marine ecosystem in mind.
So reef safe, I don't know if I answered this question correctly. Reef safe really is what's safe for the reefs. So what
Okay.
people are seeing reef safe because they put zinc in it, so they're taking advantage of the narrative. It's got to be non-nano zinc. Reef safe is there are and I honestly, full transparency, Nancy, they're living organisms. And I think like 3 years ago, when I had this idea, or 2 years ago, I'm like, shit, they are living organism. I never really thought
Mhm.
it that way. The reefs are
Yeah.
living, breathing. I honestly, it's an inanimate object. It's pretty. And
Mhm.
I was very guilty once when I was out there snorkeling and I was going in circles, following a school of fish, thinking they're smart. But I was just going in circles like an idiot. And I ended up standing up in the middle of the ocean. And I'm like, wait, that's a reef? I'm standing on coral reef, not a rock. And I almost like panic because I'm like, I don't want to be that
Yeah.
person. But
Yeah.
everything, I mean, everything you if you go into the ocean, everything you have on your skin and your hair, you think about it, it washes off, it rinses off, and it just, particles down. And they're living organisms. And when you think about these oil slicks, from these tankers, these horrible accidents out there, think about all that oil and those chemicals and the birds and the fish that are dead and the ecosystem it kills. You just see what's on the surface, but there's a lot that filters down,
Mhm.
tides and stuff. And for people to think, well, it's only here. Well, no, because you have tides and things ebb and flow and things move out into the ocean and currents. It's actually kind of scary. And I used to say, we used to joke, not joke. A lot of people made fun of Al Gore years ago, climate control and all that kind of stuff. And there is climate control has a lot to do with it, damaging the coral, but majority of the coral reefs that are dying are humans, besides stepping on them like idiots and looking, hey, look, I have a photo. I just destroyed a living organism. It's the chemicals. They're living in
Right.
ocean water so far underneath the surface. But now with more people snorkeling, diving, going in, wanting to look and see everything on your skin. I mean, you put stuff on your mask. I mean, I don't scuba dive, I snorkel. I'm like a surface girl, but I look at what people put on their snorkel masks. They just have the defoggers. And there's now certain defoggers and stuff for divers that are chemical free because you're in the water pouring it in. You're on a
Mhm.
boat, you're washing the boats in the docks, all the
Right.
soap and chemicals. Everything is starting to affect it. And when I'm down and we actually leave tonight to Roatan for 2 weeks, we're doing a huge reef safe thing down there with the marine park. We have resorts we need to see, a hospital ribbon cutting, and all these things with the kids' education. But what bothers us is now they're saying, hey, do you have bug spray? We're out on the boat. I mean, everybody's getting concerned because when you see reefs die, fish die, travel and tourism doesn't come back. People don't survive. I mean, it is a eco cycle that I never realized or took serious enough until I started digging in to EthoSun and seeing the damage, not just to our skin above the ocean level, but what it's doing to the oceans. And so I think when people talk about reef safe, they're misled. Well, we're reef safe because we have zinc, but the other nine chemicals are in the inactives. Those are still reef damaging. So you really have to ask, well, what does reef safety really mean? And we have so many blogs on our website every week talking about reef safety, sunscreen, chemicals. Our blogs don't talk about our own products. We don't push our own products. We're really bad salespeople. We suck at sales because even our blogs are about look behind the label, ask the questions. If you think a company is good, go on their website, look at their CEO, their founders, see who they are, how they got there, why they're doing it. I mean, so we're educating people from our blogs to our website all day long. So I feel like people are like, well, where's your sales? Ah, it's a good question. We suck at sales. We're just educating and we're just driving our blogs out that I write, my chief medical director writes on how to educate and be safe and be sustainable long term because I don't want skin cancer. I swam in college, I lifeguarded. I was that one bragging about my tan using baby oil. Now I won't even go out without sunscreen on because I don't want the damage. So we just don't really realize what we're doing until we stop and read a label. And then that aha moment pops in. So for us, it's not just the chemicals. We are now educating people on what does reef safe mean right now. And I just feel like I don't have a good answer. I don't know if I answered it because, to change the world, with the narrative of education, it takes a lot of people to understand what's going on. Just one, I can't change the world. I just do my best to fight for what I can with what platforms I have through our products
Right.
as many times as we could talk about it. We'll talk, we'll educate, we'll let people know, we'll give them our products, we'll tell them one of the two other products that we know are reef safe, chemical free, because we vetted them out to be down in Roatom, because we also run the compliance for which companies are allowed to sell when they announce the decree. So I support a few other companies that I know are our competitors, but they're not direct competitors. We don't do
Hmm.
dive products. We don't do kids. Some of them are, we are on a higher level of skin first, where they're just the very basic $15 to
Right.
skin the dive shop. So we'll support how we can. If we're not a good fit for a retail, we'll say, hey, look at these guys, because we can stand behind who truly is transparent and reef safe, for skin and
That's
for
great.
the
And you
oceans.
really have to have kind of abundance mentality and bring in other companies that have a similar vision and mission so that you're really able to affect global change.
Yeah.
I commend you for doing that because it's so important and it's so underrated. So many people have go into business with a scarcity mindset and they're not focused on the mission. So let's talk a little bit about kind of building and growing a mission driven brand. So product development in this space requires balancing formulation and sustainability, packaging, customer experience, the brand storytelling, which I'm sure your PR firm helps with. But what has that whole process taught you as a founder?
It's weird because, I always say, because we know on our podcast and, being a CEO of a PR firm, I'm always like, own your leadership, good, better, and different. Just own your leadership.
Mhm.
Promoting companies, taking them to the market was a whole different skill set strategically. That put my agency on the map. Running that company is a whole other thing. I mean, I have so much respect for starters, more than I ever have, even though we represent a lot on the tech sports side, because you don't really know what they do. I mean, lessons learned, man, is just have a good advisor. I mean, I've learned so many things, good, bad, and indifferent. It's just, I don't even know where to start. I mean, the branding, the website, the formulation, it's trust and verify. Always trust and verify. I've made the mistakes. We've got screwed over by a contract manufacturer creating our products, completely screwed us over. Horrible situation. We found out later she's a con artist. We found out she stole her formulas from Tropical City, screwed over another company. I didn't do my diligence. I trusted somebody who I thought was my friend, had the same mission, the same global fight. I didn't verify, and that was on me. I own that mistake. So I'm very, very cautious about that. I'm very good about talking to people, getting their feedback. There has been phone calls to one of my members of my team, my chief medical director, a 5-minute call at 10:30 ended at 1, 2 a.m. I'm in the kitchen pacing in tears, eating good and plenties. Let's figure this out. Let's figure this out. Let's grind through it. Let's pivot. I mean, plan B, plan C. And I think for me, being in PR and doing big events, I always had a plan B, a plan C. Everything looks good on the outside, but they don't really know the pain and tears and the hell on the inside. That's what we do as an agency. But, it's just, I made the mistakes and I'm going to own up to it. I chose the wrong board. I chose the wrong benchmark team. I made mistakes and I ignored red flags I normally would never, ever ignore as an agency. And I ignored it. And so, I've got to own up to some of the mistakes I've made. But, at the same time, I need to do what's best for the company. And I realize I'm not going to be liked by everybody. I'm not going to be everybody's friend. I'm going to get rid of board members. We fired our entire board. Like I fired my whole board for so many various
Wow.
reasons. And I was told by a really close friend who's an advisor globally, what are you doing? This isn't you. They're not your board. They're not doing this. They're not helping. You don't need them. Who gives a shit if they like you? If you piss them off, they were never your friend. They should be supporting you and
Mhm.
seeing what you've done. And, I was going so long because I don't want feelings. I have, longevity with them in the industry in general. And I just think being a CEO, you got to step back and realize I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make a difference in a market that I believe in, that I'm going to fight for. And I've naturally decided, you know what? I'm going to stand in the fire. I'm going to fight. Nobody else will. And I'll take the hits. I wasn't afraid of that. But I think because I've had 17 years of running a PR firm, I've seen the good, the bad for all clients. We've done the crisis communications, taken bullets. I just kind of took what I knew and I put it into EthoSun, but it is a lot. I mean, you got operations, manufacturing, you got compliance, you got FDA, you got so many moving parts, and you can't do everything on your own. There's not enough hours in the day to keep your existing life and job together and clients, and then the demands of a new startup. And, we think we're invincible. We got this here, but this is a whole new world, but we have the skill set. But it's hard, man, because I realize I can't do it all in one day. So I've had to prioritize and shift and put some things that we should be doing on the back burner internally because I don't have enough hours in my day. Some of my benchmark team doesn't have enough hours in their day. And so we're scaling up, we're scaling down on who the team is. We're trying to fundraise to scale. It's such a learning experience. And people say, oh, we're so sorry. That must be hard. No, I don't have any regrets. I got a few 2 a.m.s and tears like, what the fuck? Sorry, you'll edit that out. What am I doing? What is this madness? Who let me unsupervised and made these dumb decisions? Because if I was making them, you should have said, "Now, what the hell are you doing, Sarah? Go back and do what stay in PR." And I know my chief medical director is like one of my ride or dies, and she's amazing. And I know she will probably sit there and have a different conversation. Of that was supposed to be a 5-minute phone call, more than 20 times that I was on the phone. Okay, let's get off the ledge. Let's figure this out. Let's pivot. Let's do this together to the end. And you really know who supports you and who your friends are when you do a startup like this, good and in the bad way. But I don't regret it. It's my journey. I chose this fight. I chose to self-fund it. I'm going to continue to fight until we get, off the ground in the market and get this company moving. So I don't want to tell anybody, don't do a startup. It is hard. It takes a lot of money, but here's my bet. I've been asked this, and my only advice, I don't know if it's good or bad, is the grass isn't greener. It's a different shade. Figure out which side you could thrive and survive on better.
Hmm.
There's really no good and
Yeah,
bad to anything. You just got to figure out which is a better shade of green for you.
that's a great way to put it. I appreciate that. So let's talk a little bit about impact and future. So looking ahead, where do you think the sun care and clean beauty industries are headed? And then also, where do you see EthoSun in the future?
I mean, my hope is that the narrative will get stronger. There'll be more lawsuits. Unfortunately, horrible, horrible situations of islands not recovering from billions of dollars of travel and tourism loss. And I know Honor company who just got Alba, she got sued for like 35 million because babies were getting burned. Third degree, she had to shut down her sunscreen, focus only on other stuff. I mean, unfortunately, there's got to be more, with the super group being sued. You can't bury that. I mean, people need to understand. I'm hoping there's just enough people to realize the demand because non-nano zinc to keep clean beauty isn't cheap. And the problem is we're not a cheap $20 sunscreen, but the cheap $15, $20 sunscreens are bad for you. But, it's just the supply and demand. I'm hoping more and more companies will start to realize, and, clean beauty aside, because there's certain brands that I love that are clean beauty, like Typology. I'm obsessed with. It has aloe, has serums in your foundations. So they're already doing it. Sunscreen is a direct correlation to skin cancer and killing the reefs, and the damage is there. And I just more people need to step up, own their bullshit. Yeah, we know it's super expensive. We know we can't afford to lose our shareholders and go from a $20 billion company to starting over. I mean, that's a fact, but the conversations, the education needs to be out there. We should be in a day and age where there is no sunscreen on the market with chemicals. And I think that's also a political shift. Politics aside, I know RFK is big on you don't need all that chemicals for a crispy French fry at McDonald's. There's other ways, non-chemicals because of obesity and because of toxic chemicals. My big thing is it's not just what you put in your body, it's what you put on your body. We are in a society where there's just some things you can't kill with a natural daily mineral. I understand that. I'm not going off the deep end on that. I'm just saying when there is science backed by stats and facts, and there's certain things we can change. We need to change it. We need to stop looking at pretty social media photos. This girl had this, look at my new sun bag in these little compartments, sunscreen here, lip gloss there. Look at my favorite sunscreen that goes in it, Sunbum. I'm like, you just got 3 little brands and right there on the small print. all the toxic chemicals that are banned in 8 countries. So you're not promoting your brand, you're promoting toxic chemicals, and all these hundreds of people, oh, I love, they're commenting beach, beach, beach. Send me a link. I want to buy that bag. Or you just it's just social media is horribly ugly because they're promoting this and that's where it's spiraling out. You just got to stop it somewhere. And again, billions of dollars politically to go march in front of Instagram and Meta and fight and say, hey, ban ads that have this. I mean, there's no up or down on this. It's just got to start everywhere and close in. And we're just going to do the best we can. But I don't have an answer because I do think that's a political issue. And I don't know if
Mhm.
anybody has really fought for that. We've sent emails to RFK's office. Like, we want a call, we want a conversation about this. It's got to start somewhere. And for EthoSun, we'll expand our line. I mean, our plan, trajectory, keep doing what we're doing best. Obviously, get our products out, make a difference in the world, educate. Our goal is to launch our products, add more products, hoping, and be honestly, there's these like PG, Unilever, they own the big brands, Sunbums, Hawaiian Tropics. If they're not going in there spending billions of dollars, we'll probably get snapped up by one of them. It's very expensive to have a manufacturer to make non-nano zinc. You have to have a FDA manufactured facility to make non-nano mineral grade sunscreen because this
Uh,
has to be a non-nano zinc and has a chemical. For chemistry people, they know you got to be very careful in labs and you've got to be a FDA manufactured facility to handle non-nano zinc, non-nano titanium dioxide, and all this other stuff. And that's expensive. It takes years and licenses. So I think there'll be a lot
yeah.
of companies who will start to realize, let's just go buy them out. Let's just change the narrative. But I don't see that happening in the next 3 years. I'm hoping the next 5 to 8 we'll get into a better environmental situation where people are going to start being forced to look at labels, being forced to make smarter purchasing decisions. But, it's hard when you're the top of the pack and then everybody else is pushing false marketing. So you're
Mhm.
fighting to change that, but you also got to fight to push your own brand. So we're kind of the ones at the top and the leaderboard pushing our brand. But meanwhile, I feel like we're constantly not fighting competitors for brand, but just fighting for the education because people are like, well, we didn't know that. Why even bother having sunscreen? Because the sun creates cancer. Somebody this morning, well, the sun creates cancer, Sarah Miller. And I saw that I was tagged in it. And I'm like, no, the sun alone doesn't. But yes, you want to go bake in the sun without any protection, by all means, that's on you. But go into the mailbox, walking your dog. Vitamin D is good for you. Having some sun is good for you. How do you do it?
Right.
Ethically, smartly. If I'm going to be in the sun, I want sunscreen so I know I'm protected. So it's not the sun creating this. Yes, okay, I can't even argue that. The sun does create it if you're out there all day getting burnt and ruining your skin.
Mhm.
But it's what you put on your skin that's the big factor, not to protect from the sun.
Yeah.
I think that's an argument I'm not going to take because I can't really argue that right now. The sun
Yeah.
isn't bad for you. It's protecting yourself with what you protect yourself with is what creates it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think you said it perfectly. It's not the sun alone that's causing the cancer, it's extended exposure is where you have a problem. And then the things that you're putting on your body to protect yourself from the sun, you do have to be careful with what you put on there because that also those chemicals can cause cancer. I mean, our skin is an organ. It's a huge
Yeah.
organ and we have to treat it like we treat our other organs in terms of making sure that we're making sure that the things that we're consuming or putting on our skin are good for our bodies.
Yeah, and it's kind of like if you take, like when we were little kids, get a big magnet, go out in the summer and see if the sun through the magnet will spark a little twig underneath it, which it does, obviously. You can't argue that. Or fry an egg. It's like putting a big magnet on you and letting all the chemicals bake into your skin to say, hey, please, skin cancer. Let's put heat on this. I mean, it's just like, I just like it's so
Yeah.
obvious to me, and it says, and I don't want to be that company who puts disgusting, vile images on our social media and to our website that shows such severe damage. I don't want that scare factor because I can't stand looking at that stuff myself,
Yeah.
so it's just, I mean, every day is a new day.
It is. Yeah, you're right. So before we close out, let's do a quick lightning round. So these are short questions, short answers, and there's just three of them. So, what is one sunscreen or clean beauty myth that you would love to eliminate forever?
Wow, that's a good question. That's not a quick fire. I just think it's that I mean, that sunscreen's bad for you. I mean, and not all sunscreen's good for you. Don't trust the brand. I think my answer is brand, false brand identity. Stop trusting the brand. That's got to
That's a
change.
great one.
Yeah.
Especially hearing what you said about Sunbum, because I feel like so many people that is such a trusted.
Supergoop. I was like, "Are you kidding? This is Supergoop." As on top of
Yeah.
it, yeah, it's brand, it's false branding. It's don't trust the brands.
Mhm.
Look at the
Yeah,
label, and this is
you
the
have to
biggest
read
myth.
the labels. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next question is what habit keeps you grounded when things get rough?
Pacing the floor at 2 a.m. eating good and plans, talking to one of my besties on everything. That and my dog. Dad and taking my dog out for a walk. I rescued my dog Bella from Roatan, the island where I thought of creating EthoSun. So I rescued
That's
her, and now
awesome.
is yeah. I want to call her Ethos, but her name was Bella. So, but I just stay grounded. Know who you are. I need to understand every day. I'm out there fighting a good fight. I look at my skin. I'm in Scottsdale. I'm reminded by people every day. Every time I read it, I just stay grounded, keep focusing, and stop trying to control what's ahead because we can't control tomorrow. So I just got to stay focused on today.
Yeah. Awesome. And then the last question, super easy. Where can people find EthoSun and learn more about the work that you're doing?
Yeah, just ethosun.com, ethosun.com.
Awesome. And we will link that in the show notes. And just a reminder that you can also find some of the scientific research that Sarah was talking about earlier on her site. And you can also purchase product there. And they have some really beautiful products that I'm excited to try. So we're going to be using your products this summer. So I'm excited about it. So, Sarah, thank you so much for being here and sharing your story behind EthoSun. I really appreciate you taking the time to meet with me and share with our listeners. What I love about this conversation is that it reminds us that innovation is not always about creating something louder or trendier. Sometimes it's just about asking better questions, reading labels, holding to a higher standard, and building something that really is going to protect people and our communities and the planet at the same time. So I appreciate that you take all of that into consideration and you pour that really intentional product building into your sunscreen. I think that's just a phenomenal approach to branding and to creating something that is based in transparency for our communities. So thank you for that.
No, thank you for having me. It was great having the conversation with you.
Awesome. For anyone listening, you can learn more about Sarah and EthoSun at ethosun.com. We will link that in the show notes. Innovation creates possibility, implementation turns it into growth. And if you'd like to learn more about innovations in health, wellness, and longevity, and how these businesses are growing exponentially and scaling, make sure to like and subscribe the Practice Pulse. We'll see you next time.